Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, this is Ed Cohen in San Diego, California, and today is November 5, a Friday, and our very special guest today is Joe Dudek in the Detroit area with Rocket Mortgage. Hi, Joe. Welcome.
Hey, how are you? Thank you. It's good to be here.
Great. This is show number 1 for us together. So appreciate you taking some time here on a getaway day. So
Yes.
The housing business has been terrific, right? And it's just still going on. I know it's not as hot as it was, but that's okay. The weather's changing too. But so you got to wonder, where are all the houses coming from, and where are the people who are selling? Where are they going?
Hey, I tell you that's the question everyone would want to know. It's amazing just with the lack of inventory that's there, and when people find it now, historically over the last year and a half or whatever, people are overpaying for these houses, right? And then it's driving the home values up with, and luckily for people to find homes, luckily interest rates have stayed low, so they can, with home values getting higher, they can at least afford it a little bit more. But yeah, it's really a big challenge out there, and heck, even for people, the fatigue, people trying to buy their first homes, having to put offers and get rejected 8, 9, 10 times.
Terrible.
Houses, it's hard.
So let's talk about the transferee business. It's similar, of course, but people can only afford so much, right? They can't get qualified for what these high prices are.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it has been challenging to be able to get qualified for it, and not only just at the beginning of the process, but even afterwards, of trying to find a different market. These people are just uprooting their lives, and they're trying to go find someplace to stay, and it is one of those things that it's challenging for them.
So the companies must be afraid, the corporations that are asking the people to relocate, but they don't want to get stuck with a house in inventory.
That's true. That would be a concern for a lot of corporate mobility managers. Like, what do I do with this, right? You don't want to be able to have that asset sitting there, but you also want to make it easy on your transferees, right? You want to have that great experience. So, do I offer a GBO and make it in these challenging times for them, because it takes them a longer time to go find a house? Well, if you want to make it a better experience for that transferee, well then, yeah, okay. And it's a higher up person, let's offer a GBO and help them transition. But then now on the other side of the equation, that's the risk that you're taking on. And it's not only the people that are higher up, but what about people that what the industry would constitute a lump sum person or a renter, right? People that are maybe newer hires or lower on that scale. Think about it. Millennials right now account for the most home purchasing, age range right now currently, not only for purchasing, but for refinance, right? So these people are no longer, stereotypically still living in their parents' basement anymore. No, they want to start a family. They want to have a larger, spread their wings and really move on with their life, but they can't right now because of the challenges with the housing market or even any kind of student loan debt and everything that just kind of compounds, that is putting off what other generations did maybe in their mid-20s, early 30s to start, that is now being pushed back with this generation to a little bit farther because of all of these factors, and then throw a pandemic in the mix too.
So let's just make believe that we have an audience that's not familiar with all the terminology that we just threw around here. Okay, so yeah. the guarantee buyout you mentioned, GBO, right? Mm-hmm. And so that means that the corporation, as an employee benefit tool, will what? Give them, oh, don't worry, we'll help you later.
Yeah, basically just a quick version of it. Yeah, that corporation would say basically, hey, we will go ahead and assume the property, how, for lack of a better term. So basically all you have to do is put the home up for sale. And then basically, then after a certain period of time, if it doesn't sell, don't worry about it. You move on to, you go find your other home. We as the corporation, or maybe even a relocation management company, we will figure out the selling of that home and take that off your plate. It's a great benefit to have for transferees to be able to help them not only, get from point A to point B, but a lot of corporations, as you know, they not only want to get that person from point A to point B, but they want to do that very quickly and seamlessly, so that person can actually, oh, by the way, they still have to do their job and do it efficiently.
Right. And so because it would be an attractive home for the next person coming along, the company might have a ready buyer at that time. Yeah. Okay. So what about the student debt thing now? That's going to block. I mean, you put that down on a loan application, that's a red flag,
Yeah, it is challenging. It's not only a red flag, but as a lender, some lenders, with certain policies or guidelines with those loans, if they aren't, say a payment on a student loan is deferred, potentially maybe a mortgage provider, which a deferred, meaning they don't have to make a monthly payment. Well, but they might say, okay, well, in order to, at some point in the future, right, they will start to have to make those payments. So, and when they do, we will just say, like, whatever the total balance is, maybe a certain percentage of that total balance, that's what their monthly payment would be. And if you have somebody that has a large student loan debt, that can be a substantial amount, maybe even more of more than a car payment, and even more than that. So in the eyes of a lender, they're going to account for a payment being very high. But maybe when the deferment period's done, the payment's only this large. Maybe it's only a couple $100. But in the eyes of a lender, they have to maybe take that into account. Or maybe the rates on those student loans are just astronomical. And when they're not in deferment, and as a lender, you see that's just their debt to income ratios are so high. And even, it's just a compound effect. These adults now that are thrown in the adult world after being in college, it's tough for them. And even getting a new job, and a well-paying job, to then offset the high student loan debt, they're not having a large, a well-paying job to offset it. It's still at that level mix.
So when we're talking about the people that are in this situation, in this range, what age range are we talking about?
I would say if you were to ask me that question years ago, that has been a thing that everyone has kind of been saddled with, right? I would say that most people would say, from your mid 20s to maybe like 30, 32-ish. I think that would be an answer I would have given you 10 years ago. Now, I would say that it's from your mid 20s all the way to your mid 40s. I truly do feel that is a realistic thing that many people are struggling with right now.
Yeah.
It's not just, hey, 15, 10 years and I'm done with it. No, it's compounded, and it is a problem.
So all of this, never mind everything else, that's adding to the stress level.
Yeah, stress. I mean, stress level is a thing. And actually one of the things, and then again, I mentioned a pandemic, you throw that in there, and
yeah.
I do feel that there's so many more stressors in somebody's world today than there were 10, 15, 30 years ago, right? There's so much more that's going on in the world, and it's how are people dealing with it. And, you were talking about benefits from a company. It's been very encouraging to see, companies that are out there that are investing in their people and investing in mental health awareness. And, May's Mental Health Awareness Month. And you have many, many companies throwing up different conferences, and it's not just a one-time thing, but now open enrollment's happening, in November, right? So, it's that time for corporations to now add into their suites of benefits for their team members. And it's really starting to become a trend. So yes, while there are so many stressors and a lot of craziness in people's lives, luckily right now, it'll probably take a little bit of support is slowly starting to get there.
So let's talk about what's going on in the industry right now, because the pandemic has put a dent in things, to put it mildly, and it seems to be opening up. There seems to be movement. You're seeing that, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that. For myself, I'm an account manager on our relocation team. So, I have the pleasure to be able to work directly with corporate mobility managers and also relocation management companies as well. So I kind of have a dual-sided viewpoint of what's going on. And I would say that towards the end of last year, you started seeing things open up a little bit, but then when you got into fall, there was still that uncertainty of spiking going on. And will companies now decided to hold off going back into the offices? But definitely this spring, we really saw companies start moving again. And it was very reassuring to see that even throughout the summer and to the home purchasing typical solid months that we have within the summertime, spring, and into early fall. So we have started seeing that. But I also started hearing rumblings of, there's still a pent up demand that I guess we could say that there's these moves that were put on hold, right, are still on hold. And at some point in the future, those are going to hit. So I think, some of the things that I'm seeing from our partners is hearing that, but it's not only them, but, the nervousness that they have of like, well, if this all happens at once, then that's going to add another domino effect as well. Even service providers or van lines, people that are going to be moving their goods. If all of these companies start flipping that switch again, right, with that pent up demand that they just held off, right? If you start having a couple hundred, more or 1,000 moves that are going into a city, well, that, just there's a supply chain thing that's going to happen
Right.
in effect as well.
Right. So, but you're not seeing that. It's more steady than.
Yeah, it's more steady now, which is good. And I think for everybody, obviously there's still supply chain issues, from a mortgage side to, there could be, some sort of, in the past, it was appraisal issues in the beginning of COVID and even throughout it. There was a lot of appraisers that left the industry, whether they retired or whatever the case is. So that caused a strain, right? Even title work, right? So even when everyone was working, for not working at all, companies are furloughing or whatever, or offices are only open one day a week to do title work, right? That adds another complexity to it. So there's so many other different ones just in the mortgage world, and let alone other different, service provider lanes that support it. So it's a real struggle out there.
So your specific territory is southern U.S.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So it's popular. People are moving to the Carolinas right and left, from the Northeast anyway. But Nashville, Memphis area, all Tennessee is Midwest hot, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would say, and it's not just now hot. The city of Nashville and the surrounding Nashville counties, that I tell you, over the past 5 years has been one of the top 10, top 15, top 7 fastest growing area in the country. Fastest growing meaning population. Lots of corporations are moving over there, and even in the Southeast that you mentioned as a whole, from a housing perspective, that is the largest increase of where it is. And we talked about earlier about the supply of homes is down, right? Especially in the Northeast and West and Midwest. But I think one of the factors that's helping the Southeast become one of the fastest growing areas now is because there's a lot more construction and new homes being built. There's a lot more land that's undeveloped now that is starting to be developed. That helps a little bit with that demand. And I'm sure warm weather is quite an attractive thing as well to a lot of people.
Right. So here in San Diego, in Southern California, southernmost Southern California, it's like we're full. There's no place to go. So it's a problem here. The prices are skyrocketing because of that. So Apple and Google they're, and now a plane ride north of here, they've stopped recruiting into the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley, and they're opening up offices all over, in LA and here in San Diego, and literally thousands of hirings going on. And on top of that, in San Diego here, it's medical tech, biotech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, big time. And so this is a red hot market. I'm sure Carolyn probably shares that information with you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about doing good, doing better, community involvement, this kind of thing. You take it seriously, I understand. So give us a little bit of insight about how you help the locals.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, in our job, everyday jobs, we can be great at what we, and many people are. And as the years go on, in my job, I've started to look for more, right, to, kind of fulfill that need. And I realized after a while there was always a void, and how I call it, I just call it filling a void. And that void I can fill that in any way, but if I'm going to fill something, I enjoy helping people. There's a bigger purpose. I have so much up here that if I can share that with other people, that's something that I do. I think mentorship is a very important part to someone's development, not only in the professional world, but just in life in general, right? I've gone to different colleges, universities within the Detroit area, and talk to their business school people about things that I have learned over my 17 and a half years at Rocket Mortgage. But it's not just about mortgages and home values and all of that. No, put that aside. It's the basic business and intrapersonal skills that there's not a class in high school, or there's not in grade school. There aren't these classes that are taught, but these are fundamental, extremely important skills that people should have, but they don't have the opportunity to get intertwined with that. So I think that's just a huge part. And it's not only just within, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter who you have on your team. I help out other people within our organization. I help out other people I mentor inside the mobility industry, outside of the mobility industry. That is a way that I feel about giving back. And it's very, very rewarding, not only to myself, but really that person that you can touch too.
So there's a number of younger people who have entered the relocation industry.
Yes.
Okay, and I remember back when when I was entering it a long time ago, and I remember the old guys who were like around my age that I am now, and they didn't reach out at all. It was really a wall, a big gap, if you will. And it's encouraging to see you do that. You and others are out there with in the regional groups. That's the way to communicate.
Yeah, I would say the relocation regional groups are so important to the development of the relocation industry.
Yeah.
Worldwide ERC is a phenomenal organization and does a lot of works and trainings and is so much value to its membership. But to have these regional groups to supplement that and to be able to see the same people a lot more often over the years,
and it's hands-on.
Exactly.
At that level.
Exactly. I was the past president of the Tennessee Relocation Council. So to be able to go through that experience and see that group over 8, now 10, 11 years that it's been in its existence, the growth of that, but the connections that are made. And you're right, a lot of those, the trend today is mobility managers are a lot younger. Now it's just like, hey, now maybe that person has moved on and let's just tap Greg on his shoulder and be like, Greg, now it's you're responsible. And when you build relationships with some of these people, I know if I were to put myself in their shoes, I wouldn't know what to do. If I was that new to it. And I think the support is extremely important in this industry because, Ed, I'm sure you didn't go to school for relocation. No one did, right? So
Right.
why not leverage the community that we have here to continue this special industry that we're in?
So let's talk about lump sum for a second. And these aren't home buyers who are getting lump sums because the companies aren't going to give somebody 100,000 cash. But they'll give 10,000 every day of the week to younger people and let them go blow it or be responsible and prove it. I can be responsible. I'll show you. Yeah, sure. Well, you go to the Apple store and the phone's $800. Said, oh, wow, I've got all this money now. Okay,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like that. Right? Problems like that are happening every day now.
Yeah, I think it's a very unique thing. Obviously, in the relocation industry, lump sum has been a very much talked about topic over the past 3 to 4 years, and even more so now today. And I think companies are becoming a little bit more smarter with that, right? Having maybe a more of a managed lump sum kind of program, so where they're not getting that iPhone, that 13 Pro Max phone that's out there now. Because they have to kind of prove a little bit more, right? There's a little bit more kind of work. So the money that's intended for them to move it is. But I will say that really even more so over the last 2 to 3 years, those people that are given, that lump sum benefit, the 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever it is, we are seeing that those people are actually buying homes, right? So I think there's a misconception out there when we talk about lump summers that these people are just going to grab a U-Haul and move and pay their buddies with beer to be able to help them unload. No, I think that it's to the point of what I was talking about before about a lot of those mid to late 30s people that fall into those buckets want to start a family and they want to buy a home, and they're going to do it whether or not they get any benefits or not. So I think as mortgage lenders today, we're becoming smarter. We're offering them a higher amount off of discounts off closing costs to be able to get them in a new home. And maybe they're on the borderline, right? Maybe they just, they just don't know if they want to buy or not. But in most markets, it's actually today more advantageous and cheaper to buy a house than to actually rent. And then you start going with all the things that can add value to their lives and their families from there. But it is a very interesting dynamic that's happening right now, as opposed to what the conceptual idea of a lump summer was 5 years ago. These people are actually buying more than people think.
So as we have about 10 minutes remaining in what we think is optimal use of time here.
Yeah.
So I invite you to ask me any questions, but the percentage of your customers from relocation business, are they women more than men?
That's a great question. I actually don't know that stat.
I don't know either. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I saw a stat the other day that and this is just not necessarily relocation based, but that there was a higher percentage of, I think it was the National Association of Realtors. They say that there was a higher percentage of single women purchasing homes than there are of single males, right? So that was an interesting stat that I saw that if you were to, I wouldn't have guessed that, right? So I think today, again, a pandemic kind of skews things, but I think whatever our norms, right, of lots of things have changed, but I think more specific home buying and so much other things that goes along with it or separate from it, I think is kind of flipped on its head again because of lots of things that are happening out there.
Hi, this is Ed, and I thank you for tuning in to Global TV Talk Show. a unit on globalbusinessnews.net. We broadcast to the world, as you know by now. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that our programs are advertising supported. We're grateful for co-sponsors, advertisers. They have a marketing budget coupled with a strong desire to be associated with our top quality program. And of course, I'm grateful. Thank you. So for the next few minutes, you're going to see some commercials. It's mostly very low key, and our prices are very, very reasonable. Our exposure for the advertisers go 12 months and beyond. Some of our advertisers have been with us since March, April of 2020. And Google Analytics has tracked over 125,000 what they call audience page views, which means you looking at this page, that's a page view. Now, if you happen to go to one of our other shows or to our radio broadcasts or to our newspaper or magazine, those become additional page views as measured by Google Analytics. And so when they say 125,000 since spring of 2020 up through Labor Day, a month ago, that's pretty good numbers. And the past 30 days, Google Analytics has measured just under 6,000 audience page views. And that, according to them, is a 42% increase in audience participation over the month of August. So thank you very much. Well, here's our advertisers, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes or so, and we'll proceed with this interesting conversation. Thank you.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Hi, I'm Sergey Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we are researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
And the surge of technology into the industry is, of course, long overdue, but it seems to make things easier. I mean, just look at your own app and all the things that people can figure out without having to talk to anybody.
Yeah, it really is. You know, at Rocket Mortgage, you know, historically, right, we just wanted to take an older, antiquated mortgage process, right, that people hated to do. No one just wakes up in the morning and they're like, God, I can't wait to get a mortgage, right? No, that's really people dreaded it, right? It was just that cumbersome process. And most people in their lives, they get a mortgage maybe anywhere from 4 to 6 times in their life, right? From their first house to refinancing and getting another one, right? So we're not talking about something they do a lot. And when you go to do something like that, especially in today's age, it's got to be simple. It's got to be easy. And that's what we've really been over the years have been the leader within that space within the mortgage industry. And it shows, it shows within to be able to get approved on your phone within minutes, all by yourself. And you don't even have to talk to somebody to be able to then upload documents to be able to then, hey, bank statements, that's a typical thing. Well, why you don't have to submit it to us. We'll just ask you, who do you bank with? And we will be able to go ahead, click a button within seconds. We have now obtained that information on your behalf. Heck, even with homeowners insurance, every single home that closes in the country needs homeowners insurance for it, right? Not only the owner obviously wants it, but the lender sure does. And to be able to partner, we've been able to partner with some of the largest homeowners insurance companies that are out there to then be able to obtain that homeowners insurance is a typical maybe 1.5 to 3 day process from calling, leaving a voicemail, just getting a fax, and then, oh no, it didn't come in, I have to resend it. Like that whole process can now be done in a matter of seconds by integrating with APIs, integrating with technology. And now through all of these little inches that you have, every single improvement's an inch. And if you build those up, that, that's feet, that's yards, that condenses time in a mortgage process that, again, historically old and antiquated to now, it's so much fun actually when I travel and I hear people say like, hey, we just use you guys for a refinance, or we just use you guys for a purchase our home. It was so easy. I never thought it could be this easy. Or I bought a home 5 years ago and I used you guys now, and I'm like, oh my God, it was so much easier. So it's rewarding and it's encouraging to know that the housing process that is again, it's turned on its head. It's the expectation everywhere within relocation. Every service provider is now elevated because of the need for technology.
Leading the way. So I thank you for doing this. I just want to iterate here for a second about our distribution. I call it an intelligent distribution, not because it's me, but because of how this system works much better now. This show is live, but nobody knows about it by design. We don't really want that, because we prepare it, do a little editing, and then prepare it for on demand. It'll take a couple of days. You'll get the show link probably Monday. Do whatever you want with it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to host sponsor the show on our site, globalbusinessnews.net. Prominent. We have a main site, globalbusinessnews.net, but we also have a newspaper, and we have a magazine, we have a radio show, in addition to a TV page. So the show will find its way on every one of those networks, if you will. But the primary is globalbusinessnews.net. Google Analytics has tracked 135,000 page views just since we started these talk shows in the spring of 2020 up through last week. Can you imagine 135,000? So no. It's immense. So, well, of course, we're thankful for that. But we, through LinkedIn and other social media, but primarily LinkedIn, I'm very active on that and belong to several groups, most all connected with talent management things, and mobility is part of that. And so from a distribution point of view, I put out the link and about you and about the content of this interview in memos, and then I either send it directly to certain people like corporate mobility managers in companies, whether it's in Ford or General Motors or whatever, or Hilton Hotels or whatever. And we have all the lists. And so we don't want to be a pain in the neck by blanketing these people with our stuff, but they do get them. And we also are members of the LinkedIn groups, and there's a lot of mobility groups, and there's a lot of crossover there. But then we also have the SHRM groups, and we have World at Work groups, and we have some talent acquisition, I forget the names, and then we have mortgage groups, and then we have mover groups, and not only for the US, but worldwide. And so in addition to that, we have C-level, tax, legal, banking. So a typical show like this will have a distribution over the course of 6 to 8 to 10 or 12 months of well over 100,000. Now, it doesn't mean everybody's going to look at us talking, but they're going to get it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they may get it more than once. Okay. And so that's in the intelligence of the system that I've built, and it's reverberating because we're attracting companies who want to advertise and show their brand and be associated with certain shows, not all, but certain ones. And one of the program series that we have is, of course, relocation. and we call it relocation TV, which is where this is going to go.
Yeah.
In addition to managing mobile talent network that I have as well. So there'll be some crossover there. But oftentimes it's two different groups, two different sets of people. But we have an education, and that appeals to younger families, kids who used to go to school and they've been at home for too long. And so there's some online school networks that are very good and very well accredited, and others not so. But we have a whole series of programs on this, and that's been really popular, particularly with women's groups. And so we also have a medical TV network, and ordinarily what's that have to do with mobility? Well, one of the doctors that we interviewed recently has been professor of immunology at University of California in Irvine, which is a major job. But this doctor, a woman, was just recruited from the University of Kentucky to come and be the chair of their graduate school, medical school. All right. Which is a step up from being a professor of immunology to taking over the whole school. It's huge promotion.
Yeah.
All right. And so she talked about all of that and the idea of being relocated. And she's got all her contacts, all her research materials, her test samples and test tubes and all that. And so the relocation of this person and all this stuff is beginning to start now. And it's going to take a couple of months before it all gets packed up and loaded properly. So she was sharing that information. And ordinarily that program and that interview would have nothing to do with mobility at all, but everything to do with science, right? So there's amazing penetration of the relocation industry is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it really is. When I try to explain to people, what is it that you do, right? That's a hard thing to relocation to them, but I keep it so simple. I say, I'm sure family or friends, that along several years from, over the past several years that has relocated for their job. And, you think about like, okay, yeah, they just moved from point A to point B, but there's an industry of people that help make that move happen that no one knows about. And you just kind of say like, I am in the area from the mortgage side that gets to help them with that transition.
Right. Joe Dudek, thanks for being our guest on Relocation TV. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks. Take care now. All right, that's Joe in the Detroit area, and I'm in San Diego, and we're going to say goodbye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.